Hey everyone, I'm Jacqueline Zacharias. This week, the International Ranch Horse Association is taking the spotlight at the APHA World Championship Show in Fort Worth, Texas. And while riders shine in the arena, we're sitting down with the builders and leaders behind the scenes who help develop these programs and drive the sport forward. Joining us today is Stephanie Lynn Bill Kaven. Stephanie is the Executive Director of NSBA, and with over 40 years of experience, she's truly done it all. From winning countless world championships in the arena to major leadership positions in the boardroom, she's actively shaping the future of fair, all-breed competition. Our other incredible guest, Bill Kaven, has also been shaping the equine industry across disciplines for over 35 years as a well-respected trainer, judge, and coach. He helped develop the highly successful Breeders' Championship Futurity at NSBA, and today we're going to be talking about their exciting new program, the Ranch Breeders' Championship Futurity. Stephanie and Bill, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
I would love to know what inspired NSBA to create the Ranch Breeders' Championship Futurity program and what gap in the industry you're hoping to fill.
Sure. Well, I think one of the things that we're most proud of with the National Snaffle Bit Association is that they truly try to take care of the full cycle of the horse. We are a horse show organization. We encompass 8 alliance breed partners, so we are an all-breed association. And so the Ranch BCF allows us to bridge a gap between the show horses that we're used to seeing in the walk, jog, lope classes and really take that next step with where the industry is trending. We feel like the ranch has provided an opportunity for riders of all levels to enjoy the horses and enjoy the industry in a different way. You know, we've all been fortunate to see the effects of the Yellowstone program. And a lot of people think that cowboy life, that looks like so much fun to go slide and go cut and do all those fun things, but they still start with the things that we do. And the ranch is something that anybody can do and feel like a cowboy. And the popularity and growth in the ranch has been, easy to watch for all of us as organizations. We see a lot of people start there for sure. But we also see a lot of people who feel like they can't compete anymore in some of the higher level events, be able to come back to the show arena because they feel like they're maybe can't compete with the 50-year-olds or the 29-year-olds in the horsemanship anymore. But it's an easy class for people to feel like they can achieve it.
And you do see a lot of owners who are they're do it themselves. They don't have a trainer, and they do feel like they can stay competitive in the ranch where they might not feel that way in some of the other show classes.
Yes, and I do like with a lot of the natural movement that you see so much. Like you see, we see a wider variety of horses that branch into it. And what we really like about it is that it is also a newer discipline, so it's not near as bred into the horses or developed as some of these other ones. But at the same time, what it allows people to do is that they can get in without such a huge investment.
Right.
Yeah, for some of those horses to be competitive in the open or even upper levels of non-pro classes, and you're putting down a huge chunk of money on those horses. And so ranch allows you to get into it and still be pretty competitive if you have an athletic, good moving horse.
Now the BCF program is a breeder's program, but even unregistered horses can participate in NSBA approved events. Okay, so in our regular world show classes, an unregistered horse can actually get a set of NSBA registration papers and participate. And we saw a really cool example of this over in Europe, where an Arabian was showing at our inaugural NSBA European Championship in the ranch division, and actually won in one of the divisions. And so I think it was the amateur trail, as a matter of fact, amateur ranch trail. So it's also, our association is also unique in that capacity that even unregistered horses can compete.
Yes.
And so for us, it was a natural step for us to develop a program that takes care of the owner, the exhibitor, the breeder, and the foal nominator. So it really helps develop that. And Bill, obviously, being on our staff, was such a key player for this. He was a board member when they had the brainstorm and were building the Breeders' Championship Futurity. So he was on, served as a board member, as a member of our equine community, bringing forward these ideas to really help grow the industry, but also provide benefits that last throughout a horse's career.
Yeah, that was one of the instrumental things about the development of the Breeders' Championship Futurity program initially back in the early 2000s, was to provide a program that was affordable to all breeders, stallion owners and mare owners alike. We've only had one rate increase in over 20 years, and it was minimal, realistically. And that was very important to the founders of the program that were sitting on the board with me at that time, that it stayed affordable so that everyone could participate in this program. And the original program, you nominate as a weanling, and then you start competing in the yearling classes all the way up through 6 years old.
I see. Okay.
So you have that progression of a horse's development. And when we expanded from the Western Pleasure and Hunter saddle, we added the trail and the Western riding as well. So it allows that horse to also branch off into the versatility classes. And so, as the ranch has developed and become a significant force in our shows, we felt it was important to service those members in the same exact way that we serviced our original members, and allow those breeders to have a program that they can see their horses develop through the ages. It was that particular group's desire to look and focus first on the 3-year-olds, not such the early horse, the yearlings and 2-year-olds. And so the Ranch BCF program starts as a 3-year-old competition and then moves through the 4, 5, 6-year-old year.
And I think that's incredible because, like you talked about, the longevity of, and maybe someone doesn't do the 3-year-old year, but then they can do the 4 and 5-year-old, 6-year-old, and that's really important to us.
The committee was really, I think, really brave and really strong. The 3-year-old is also only offered as an open class.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that a non-pro can't compete in it, but it's only offered as an open class. They believed, and the trainers, I think, in general, would say that the trainer should probably have that horse for the first year and help shape it. Takes the pressure off the trainer, takes the pressure off the horse, and then you put the non-pro on after that horse has had some seasoning and some time in the show ring. And so I think they were really smart in growing this program in stages, and we're, again, really proud of that group for being strong enough to have that foresight and be able to really promote the longevity of the horses.
Yeah, I really appreciate how much thought has gone into this because, like you said, as at the 3-year-old year, yeah, there are some non-pros and amateurs that really could show a 3-year-old, but a lot of times it puts so much pressure on the trainer to put pressure on the horse to get the horse there in a position where that rider can show it versus just open riders. So that's incredible. Where do you see the ranch division within NSBA 5 years from now?
Well, Bill, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about the numbers. You've got some numbers in front of you to go backwards in history.
Yeah.
It helps us predict the future.
So
for sure.
we started approving ranch classes way back as far as 2005, just in what we consider our dual approved format, where NSBA classes are run concurrently with breed classes. And so we had that history start way back in 2005, and then we actually introduced it as a World Show class in 2013. But to give you an idea of the growth difference, from 2013, we had 2 classes. It was just the ranch riding, and back then it was called Ranch Pleasure. It wasn't called Ranch Riding. And we had 3 non-pro entries and 4 open entries. Compared to 2025, we had 418 entries across all divisions. So there's been this massive growth. And then when you look at the total number of entries that NSBA has seen in the ranch division, so in 2015, we had 500 total entries throughout the show season. 2025, 14,000. So in a 10-year period, we've had that massive amount of growth in our ranch division.
Wow.
So to see where it's going to go in 5 years, I don't know that we'll be able to produce that type of result again, but it just shows the massive interest in the industry.
Absolutely. That's really incredible. And obviously, all of us can witness the ranch classes and the discipline growing dramatically, but to hear some of the numbers, to me, it's like, whoa, is that dramatic. Like that's incredible. So what metrics are going to determine whether or not the ranch BCF is considered successful?
Well, I think the stallion participation in our Ranch Breeders' Championship Futurity program, along with the foal enrollments, you know, we track that currently with our current programs, because we did also expand the Breeders' Championship Futurity, which used to have a separate color division, and then in 2017 we created a completely standalone color Breeders' Championship Futurity division, so that stallions nominate into that specifically for the color classes.
Okay.
So this felt like a natural extension, very similar to that expansion in 2017, and so you know, by seeing those metrics, we looked at taking the expansion of the color Breeders' Championship Futurity and hoping for 40 stallions to participate, and in the first year we had 80.
Awesome.
You know, and now we're up in the hundreds.
Wow.
You know, 110. I think we're floating around in that frame. So if we could see that same sort of growth pattern in the ranch program, I mean, we would be very happy with that. You know, if we could get 30 to 40 stallions to start with, and then continue to double and triple that, that would be our ideal goal. Yeah.
Wow.
We have 26 right now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, and it is a little confusing, and you know, anybody that is interested in learning more, they should call the office, because we can certainly walk them through it easier than we can read them through it, because the program started with those 3-year-olds. It takes always in the Breeders' Championship Futurity, it takes a couple of years for that horse to age into the actual show aspect of the program. So it can be confusing. The other thing I would say that was a big indicator of the interest is we had people calling and trying to enroll in a program we didn't have. I have a weanling, and I'd like to enroll in your Ranch Breeders' Championship Futurity, or I'd like to enroll in the BCF as a ranch horse. And so this was, 3 years in the making, very solidly. The committee worked really hard on it for, I would say, 2 years in developing this. But NSBA really deeply in its heritage and in its roots believes that our mission is to provide opportunity for people to show their horses. We believe in competition. We believe in the community that competition creates. And so this is such a natural way for us to expand that community. I mean, these are the, you know, again, the same horses that maybe back when Bill and I were heavy into training were too big for the Western, but not big enough for the hunt seat. You know, any horse can really do the ranch. Anybody feels like they can achieve this. And obviously, as the program grows and becomes more competitive, there will be different levels. This year, we have done leveling for the ranch division. So we have a limited division, we have an open division. So all those things will happen within the industry naturally. But the horse itself allows people to feel like they can do this, and it's just plain fun. You know, people like doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you completely on that. So, random side question. Because this program starts now with the 3-year-olds, if I were to want to nominate a 3-year-old for the event, say this year or next year's 3-year-old, what kind of penalty fees would I be paying versus a yearly nomination?
Sure.
So it starts out with a weanling nomination, and the stallion nomination tracks with that weanling year. So if you nominated in 2025, then the foals of 2025 follow that nomination. So the foal nomination is $100 or $125. It's $100 if you have 5 or more foals. Then as a yearling, it jumps to $200. For the entire yearling year, and then the 2-year-old. The yearling is $200 up to May 15th, and then it goes to $500 after May 15th. The 2-year-old is $750. The 3-year-old is $1,500.
Okay, so $1,500 is what I'd be paying today if I nominated a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
And then, as Bill was saying, that we call it a bucket. So the let's see, the 3-year-olds this year are 2023 babies. So the 2023 bucket goes through that whole program until the 2023 babies graduate out of the program. That's what funds that, and your entry fee is what funds the purse. So that's why it's tied to that full year. It also lets that money grow and lets those older horses still have an opportunity to get in. And by paying that $1,500, you kind of know what you have, right? Where a foal, a weanling or yearling doesn't know necessarily what they have. So you know at that point that you have the goods and that this horse can benefit from being in the program. And Bill can speak to this, having run the yearling sale, which is tied to the BCF program. We really do see the benefits of people being able to participate in that program beyond the years they own that horse. So they can own the horse, own the stallion, nominate the mare or the foal, and then still be paid on those future winnings through the end of that cycle. So that part of it, and I think there's other programs out there that do similar things, but it has been very helpful and well received by our clientele, by our members.
Because the stallion nominator gets 20% of all earnings from their foals that participate in the program. The foal nominator gets 10% from all earnings from that foal. So when the exhibitor, the current owner, would get 70% of whatever they won. So if it was a $10,000 payout for that class, then $7,000 goes to the current owner, $1,000 goes to the nominator, and $2,000 goes to the stud owner.
And this year, in the 2025 year, was the first year for the color BCF to be fully funded. And again, that's a smaller division. It's a very targeted division. And they paid out just under $400,000 in that division. So it has really grown and continues to grow. And we expect that this will grow exponentially as well, just because of the interest. And again, because of the fact that any horse can do it. And so I think it will be well received once people understand it.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a hard, any of these programs can be hard to understand. You have to,
especially right when they start. And like you said, you can't go back to the year or weanling year and be like, okay.
And the nice part is that enrollment fee is going specifically to that full year crop. So if you're putting a 3-year-old in at $1,500, that $1,500 is being banked into the entirety of the program. So it's going to have an opportunity to win back that money as a 4, 5, and 6-year-old, as well as a 3-year-old.
That's really neat. That's really neat. I love to hear that. So what message would you like to share with stallion owners who've not yet nominated their stallions for the Ranch BCF?
Well, I would say, and Bill can speak from the stallion owner perspective, but I would say from the association perspective that it is a very low entry fee to allow your horse to have an opportunity in a division you may not have thought possible. So if you're talking about a reiner, which we have several reiners, or if you're talking about a pleasure horse, whatever it is, I think that it provides tremendous opportunity for those stud owners to have another avenue to sell babies that maybe don't excel in one division or another. The ranch really does allow a horse of any kind to participate. And that's plain good for our industry to have a place for them.
Absolutely.
And
I think absolutely. I think when you have another way to promote your offspring, because we all know that not every horse produced goes to the end goal that we wish it would 100%. Go to. And so to have that opportunity to direct it in an area where it can excel and it can be something special, then as a stallion owner, it's just an extra benefit, to your entire breeding program. Because the more foals that you produce that are actually money earners, regardless of where they've earned that money, it just makes your stallion's marketability that much higher.
100%. And the NSBA is such a well-known and respected association that I also think it's worth the investment just in that way, because you're not nominating for something that's really niche and unknown. It really is probably you're going to get your return on investment there.
I think too that there's a lot of programs that are startup programs that are privately owned, and this is board run. It's not our money. We're not paying ourselves from it. NSBA, I think, very much like the American Paint Horse Association, has a very high program percentage ratio. We pay out 84 cents of every dollar we take in back into our program. So I think that that gives us a validation
100%.
within the industry that is important,
Yes.
and gives people some comfort that we're going to be here a couple decades from now.
Yes.
You know, that's one of the things I'm very proud of being on the board that created the original Breeders' Championship Futurity, is it's in its 20 plus year, you know, and so it's proven the test of time. It's been well run, it's been well participated in, and the breeders can rely on it, and that's going to be here for year after year after year.
Yes, absolutely. What incentives make the Ranch BCF attractive compared to other ranch horse incentives and futurity programs that are available?
I think that NSBA puts on a really good horse show. And I think that this program differs in that it allows people to compete together from all over the country at all different levels and all different breeds. That's one of the areas in our niche of competition that we offer.
Are there plans to add additional events such as ranch confirmation, boxing, cow work, or ranch reining in the future years?
I think that we'll wait until this program has gone through one complete cycle and evaluated at that time. I think that those classes are always being added. We added 30 classes, which I know makes people a little scared because they already know how hard a horse show is. But some of it was just in divisions. But yes, I think the ranch confirmation has been added to our regular World Show roster of classes. One of the things that we do feel is important is that the purse does stay high enough that it's attractive. And sometimes you can dilute the purse. So we offer those classes at the World Championship Show. We offer year-end high points, all those kind of opportunities for people. So whether it develops into being a part of this program, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the original BCF program was only a lunge line, Western Pleasure and Hunter saddle. And then when NSBA expanded into the other show classes, it developed the trail and the Western riding aspect of that program as well. So we have that history of expansion, and we know how to navigate that if that's the desire of the members and the board to bridge that at that time.
So how does NSBA plan to educate exhibitors and owners who may be unfamiliar?
It sounds like
With
we should do more
Futurity.
podcasts.
Yes.
We have some Q&As out there, right?
Absolutely.
Maybe we
No,
have
I
to
think this
send
is
Bill
great.
on a road show.
Yes, I was so excited to sit down with you guys because I was like, I'm going to get all my questions answered from the source right now.
Well, we
So-
do appreciate that. You know, I
Absolutely.
think, again, as, you know, association administrators, really, a lot of times that's what we are. We're just plain old admin, you know, but just call us. Bill is very accessible. Most people have our cell phone numbers. Use it, call us. We're here to answer the questions, you know. And so do come to the source. You know, I think that that's a hard thing. It's sometimes just more fun to talk about it without knowing the truth, right?
That may be true. For me, I'm always worried, like, these people have so much on their plate. I can't just be calling and asking these trivial questions.
Absolutely, you can.
Okay. All right. Well, that's really good to know. And I
Yeah,
think that people will appreciate the accessibility
You know,
there.
I think that's one of the strengths of NSBA, to be quite honest, is you can call up and talk to a staff member, you know, pretty readily unless we're on the phone with someone else.
Don't call on the 25th of June.
Yeah, the 25th of June's bad. That's our first deadline for World Show entries.
yeah, exactly.
but with running the yearling sale at our World Show every year, I want to be accessible to those people. I want them to be able to feel like they can text me and ask me questions. Today was our photo deadline for that catalog, so I've had a lot of communication with our consigners, and I'm glad they feel comfortable to do that. You know, we want that feeling that they can reach out and get an answer right from the source and not third hand.
Yeah. What opportunities do you see for youth and non-pro exhibitors within the ranch division coming up in the BCF?
Yeah, I think that the youth is for us has been the harder part to grow. Some of it because our horse show is right when kids are going back to school. And part of it because a lot of the other organizations are maybe doing a better job of really educating and providing educational opportunities for the kids. And that's something that we believe in, but we haven't quite gotten there.
Okay.
The non-pro is very strong. We just developed, and Bill was a part of this last year as well, we just developed a ranch horsemanship. And we're very proud of that because I feel like people, again, want the division.
Yes.
They want to be judged like everybody else on their ability to communicate with their horse, and we're super excited about the interest in that. It's been a lot of interest from the West Coast in it. A lot of horse shows adding NSBA that have never had NSBA because they want to have a ranch horsemanship class.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and also, you know, our definition of non-pro is sometimes different than other associations, because non-pro, both a youth and an amateur exhibitor can compete in that division. So originally, when we started offering the ranch classes at the NSBA World Show, they were only open in non-pro divisions. And because of the growth, we have actually separated them out into amateur, 50 and over, and youth. And so we're able to now offer specific divisions for specific rider classes that we didn't initially offer, but that ability to offer that non-pro where it's the combination of the youth and amateur was a good alternative.
So what would you say to a horse owner who's trying to decide whether enrolling a foal is worth the investment? And again, I think we've been over this a little bit, but do you have something that you want to say?
Yeah,
on
I would
that
say
line?
that if you intend to show your horse in the next 3 years, or if you intend to sell your horse and have somebody else show your horse, this is a program you should enroll in.
Absolutely.
I think it's really that simple.
Yes.
I think it's a value-added program, and you're going to be able to participate in multiple classes as that horse ages.
I do believe it's going to add value, just like some of these other incentives do when you hear foals are nominated for certain events and stuff. I think this is one of those ones that's going to be very desirable for people to see.
And if they look at the history of some of the payouts in the BCF program, like our 4 to 6 year old trail, some of those horses are winning $6,000 and $7,000 checks, you know, in that program. So I can foresee the ranch developing to that size and having those kind of payouts, and that's just the winner. We pay down to 10th, so the winner's winning 7,000, and sometimes 10th place is still paying just under 1,000. So it's well worth the investment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's a $1,400 check on just that horse alone for the stallion owner, and a $700 check for the nominator. And the nominator stays regardless, you know, through the length of the program. So whether you come in as a weanling, a yearling, whenever that nominator comes in, as long as you're an NSBA member and you maintain your membership, you will get a paycheck on your horse's offspring.
And one thing that's important to note too is that stallions can be added after the enrollment deadline in a grandfathering capacity. It does cost slightly more. It's $800 compared to the original $500. But if there was a horse that wanted to participate at this year's World Show and their sire was not currently enrolled, it could be enrolled and they could still pay the enrollment fee and still participate at this year's World Show. So that's also another important aspect of the program, is it's not restricted to, oh, I missed the deadline and now I can't participate. That's not true. There's also the opportunity that if a stallion owner doesn't want to pay the enrollment fee, they can sign a waiver and let anyone nominate their stallion.
Okay.
And so you'll see that I just saw one the other day that the program coordinator came to me and asked me about, and it was someone that the stallion owner had waived their nomination right to the actual foal owner.
Okay.
And the foal owner paid the stallion fee and paid the foal fee, and now that foal is eligible for a program.
Neat. That's
Yeah.
really
And back to your original question, when you asked if I have a 3-year-old and
Yep.
what does it cost? When you do that grandfather, all foals from that full
Full
year
year.
are now eligible.
Yep.
So a lot of times what we see is we'll see a couple people that are interested in one stallion, and we'll actually reach out and say, listen, we've turned away 3 foal enrollments because your stud's not enrolled. These foal owners would like to grandfather your horse in, and it makes all that full year eligible for the
Yep.
program.
Yeah, that's important too.
Mhm.
So, and then that you as the now stallion nominator, you're eligible for that 20% instead of the actual stallion owner. So it really is important that the stallion owners see the benefit of doing that nomination, and realizing that if they can get a lot of their foals to nominate into that program, it can be a wonderful bonus at the first of the year.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yep.
for sure. So how can NSBA help unite exhibitors from different breeds and associations under one ranch horse umbrella?
I think just as Bill just said, the fact that you can join, you can be a member and have a horse that's registered with any of our 8 Alliance partners, but you can also bring a horse that's not registered with any of them. And we see that especially in the older horses. They can't get the DNA, they can't even go back and find some of the history. They've just been showing open show or whatever. They've been on a ranch, whatever it might be. And they can still come to us and they can register those horses. So I think that's one of the biggest things we can do. And we are firm believers that, we work better together. Rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah.
And so for us, working with our alliance partners is really an important part of who we are. And I think that it provides an incentive. For instance, here at this horse show, the NSBA trophy is seen a lot in the center of the arena. We see the same thing this next week. They'll be getting ready to give out, 80-some trophies at the Palomino World Championship show. So our relationship with those organizations is really important. And Bill has also worked with the Color Breed Council to help promote the judging and the unified rules, all those things that just make it less confusing for our members. They don't want to go to paint and say, well, how come it's this way at paint and it's this way at NSBA and it's this way at AQHA? So I think by being able to unify us in that way with our rules, regulations, and to be able to provide those added benefits is really a key component for us.
And then when we have a complementary association like IRHA, that is an all-breed ranch horse association, and they came to us and wanted NSBA approval for their events so that money would be recorded for our riders, and it can go to their earnings and, allow them to elevate into our $250,000 club. And so that's important that we have that ability to really shine a spotlight on those exhibitors that are excelling and have an opportunity to become a member of that illustrious club.
Absolutely. No, I think that's really neat. We really appreciate what you guys are doing with your partnerships with different associations, and especially with IRHA now. A lot of really neat stuff going on.
Well, and I think there's a lot of decentralized ranch events, right? They're very local. And so for us to be able to provide an opportunity that's very national and international, the same as IRHA, you're providing those opportunities for people from all over to compete, for similar awards and accolades. And that's important to keep them interested and keep them on that merit-based path of always trying to achieve a little bit higher degree of difficulty.
If we're sitting here 5 years from now, what would make you the most proud about the ranch division, about what the ranch division has accomplished?
I hope it stays true to what they've built, because I love the idea of, again, truly looking after the animals' welfare by maintaining that 3-year-old as an open class only, introducing 4 classes because there are 2 non-pro divisions, but then your 3rd division isn't added until they are 5 years old. And so I hope that they will maintain that structure and really look after the animal welfare part of the sport. And kind of be a leader in that. We'd love to see that in other areas. I'm sure that the reiners and cutters and Western pleasure people and hunter under saddle people would love to say, let me show the horse as a 2-year-old, you take it as a 3-year-old. Let me show it as a 3-year-old, you show it as a 4-year-old. It would be much healthier for our horses and our show horse industry.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. So one last question. If you had the ability to implement one major change tomorrow that would immediately strengthen the ranch horse industry, what would that be and why?
I think for me, it would be to have the exhibitors truly understand that we're all the same people, and to have that sense of, I'm so proud of you, you are now doing this event. I believe that sometimes we get too segregated, and I think it should be the same, the reiners, the cutters. This is not this is not a step down or a step backwards for anybody. This is a step in a different direction that is adjacent to what we're doing. And I wish we could break those barriers of feeling that we have to be separate in our disciplines, because we all love the sport of the horses and the competition. And this is a whole nother avenue that we should all be very proud of the people that are doing it, and we should be welcoming them just like we would people into our individual disciplines.
100%. Very well said.
I think that's very well said. I'm
Oh,
gonna
come
end
on,
on,
you
I'm
can
gonna
do
end with
better.
that.
You can do better.
No, not really. That was really good, because I was stumped on this question, to be honest. Yeah, no, because it is difficult to say what's the best thing for the industry. But first and foremost, like Stephanie mentioned, the welfare of the animal, that's the most important thing. And then being inclusive and not looking at one aspect of the industry as better or worse than the other. It's just a different direction, and applaud everyone's successes. So I'm just reiterating, her words, because again, I think she really hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, she really did. And
Yeah.
I was talking to someone yesterday, and it's so important. Even like with your backgrounds, both of you have experience across so many disciplines. You did hunter jumpers, and you did it as well. And a lot of that, when you bring the English over to the Western, there's so many different elements of that. Even like just the equitation itself, the English riders provide. A lot of people who start with English backgrounds have much better seats, much prettier form in the arena, so on and so forth. But every single discipline has something major to offer everyone else. And so that's why I think it's important to be well-rounded and appreciate everyone else. And so
Absolutely.
great answer on your part.
Well, thank you. I did my last year of college. I had to stay home from the horse shows. That's how I funded college, was being a horse trainer. And I had started a little lesson program, so I had to stay home because I had to go to school every day and couldn't go to horse shows. And so you'd have people come and say, well, my daughter wants to learn to ride Western. Perfect, let's sign her up. We've got 5 lessons for whatever the money was. And they'd come to the first lesson and I'd say, why are you getting out an English saddle? Because everybody learns to ride English first.
That's great. That's
Before you
excellent.
get the
Yes.
horn, you get the English saddle.
So great. All right, is there anything else you guys would like to add?
Well, just that we're really proud of the collaboration and people reaching out, and I think we're entering a new time for the equine industry. Our major associations have a tremendous opportunity, which also carries a heavy burden, but we have a tremendous opportunity to work together. I think our organizations have some fantastic leadership right now, all of them. Our hearts are in the right places, and I think there's no better time than to break those barriers down now and really help all of us work better together. So that would be my overarching message, that I hope we can all continue to work on that.
I agree. Her quote of, the rising tide raises all ships. And I think we've seen more of that in the last 5 years than I've seen in a lot of my career. The collaboration amongst associations has been incredible. The show seminar that's being produced in Europe, with 6 associations, and allows competitors over in Europe who have a big hunger for our Western sports, and to see the collaboration of all of these major associations has actually fueled more interest. And so I think that's the important thing, is the more we help each other, the more we all grow.
Absolutely.
The one thing I would say that we all need to be working on, I know this isn't the question you asked, but I'm going to say it anyhow, is we've got to pay attention to our youth, and we've got to provide opportunities for them to get into our sport. And it's not by selling them expensive horses.
Yes.
We've got, whether it's ownership rules that we need to break down or providing opportunities for them. I feel like in our side of the industry, the hunter jumpers do such an amazing job with their lesson programs and getting people started. They've got easy entry on-ramps. We don't have that in the Western. You don't go to Casey Deary's and say, I want to learn to ride a reiner. Where does he even send somebody? Go do this for 2 years and come back. And so we have to, as organizations, seek out those people, promote them and make sure that they are getting the help they need to provide those services.
You are 100% right about that. And I think this one point that's often so overlooked is because where is the next generation going to come from?
Right.
Where are the next horses and the next, it's so important to look at that and just keep the interest alive, because I think it was so much more accessible, even for me as a young person, to just go to a barn and I would just say, I want to clean stalls. Can you give me some lessons in exchange? Anyone would take you up on that. Now there's so much liability, or just I don't want to deal with it, or have this and that going on. But the accessibility has changed, and I respect people so highly who are still taking the time to do those lessons, no matter how.
That's why it was important for NSBA to sponsor IEA and YIDA. Both of those associations. They just had their Western finals here at the APHA World Show, the IEA. And I saw someone walking out with one of our trophies. And so that's very important to us, because those programs definitely promote that affordability,
Yes.
you know, where they're lesson based and they're not ownership based.
Yes.
And that is a very important aspect of our Western side that has not grown as much as the hunter jumper side.
Really? Okay. It's definitely something to keep in mind. But well, Stephanie, Bill, thank you so much for sitting down
Well,
with us.
thanks
It's
for
awesome
Thanks
to
for having
listen.
us.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
hopefully
it.
we'll get to catch up again in the future. As this grows, it's really exciting. So thank you again.
Thank you.